Metro Police arresting Pawn Stars Corey Harrison early Friday morning, accusing him of riding drunk. A police record obtained by 8 News now says Harrison turned into swerving whilst riding a truck near Maine in Charleston. Rick Harrison misplaced the entirety. His son did some thing so awful it placed him in prison for all time. The Pawn megastars save as soon as a large achievement is now falling aside with scandals, lies, and lawsuits. Chumley were stuck with materials and guns. Corey made bad picks, and the reality about the display got here out lies, scams, and pretend experts music in, because this circle of relatives' fall is worse than you observed own family betrayal. Scandals and a criminal son. Rick's personal mom, Joanne Harrison, accused him of manipulating her into signing over her stake within the enterprise while she changed into improving from a coma. She sued, claiming she changed into owed loads of heaps and missing cash and assets. He denied it all, blaming outside impacts. But what accompanied turned into an prison warfare that dragged the family's name through the mud, but then a revelation threatened to shatter everything, after which there has been Chumley, the comedian relief of the display, stuck in a scandal that changed into something but humorous substance possession, unlawful weapons. And in research into plenty darker accusations, a plea deal saved him out of jail, but his popularity ruined. Corey Bigos Harrison had his very own set of problems: public intoxication, property damage, and a lawsuit over a wrecked RV. One bad choice after some other. Even the so-known as professionals weren't immune to. Scandal 8-year-old youngster growing up in Utah who declared to the arena that he had a terrific grain and had some of these kind of schemes to make Cash of Sports Activities memorabilia appraiser changed into caught authenticating fake collectibles, raising questions about how actual any of the show's transactions ever have been, simply while it appeared like things couldn't get worse. Rick's son took the chaos to an entire new degree, a crime so severe, so unforgivable that it landed him in the back of bars for existence. It was the remaining disgrace, the kind of mistake that no amount of money, strength, or affect could restore. The details are shocking. Betrayal against the law that left no room for second possibilities. For Rick, it wasn't pretty much dropping a son. It changed into about losing the whole thing. He had constructed the pawn store, the display, the legacy, all tainted. Maybe it became continually doomed to fail. Maybe the final rate to pay wasn't in cash. However, in the whole lot that actually mattered, but the destruction of the empire wasn't just about own family feuds and awful business decisions. The recognition of gold and silver pawn shop were slowly rotting for years. The empire stood on shaky ground with every scandal, every lawsuit, and every betrayal chipping away at what once appeared untouchable. At the beginning, the Pawn Keep seemed just like the remaining achievement story. What commenced as a simple circle of relatives, business exploded into a global phenomenon. Hundreds of thousands of visitors tuned in to see the quirky deals, historical finds, and family drama. No, I had epilepsy when I changed into a child. I had sincerely violent seizures. There has been instances where violent enough in which I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. However, it turned into all a lie in the back of the cameras. It wasn't a fun-loving, hard-working circle of relatives. It turned into a battle region Chumley's. Felony troubles weren't just a fluke. His run-ins with the regulation had been taking place for years, but they kept him at the show. Why? Due to the fact controversy sells. Each time he landed himself in problem, headlines followed, and the greater people tuned in. It turned into, in no way approximately the commercial enterprise it was, approximately retaining the spectacle alive, irrespective of the price. And Corey, the man changed into spiraling for years, drunken bar fights, reckless behavior, financial disputes, his rap sheet saved developing, but there he becomes still smiling for the cameras like nothing befell. The reality became Pawn Stars, had become much less about records and extra about Damage Manage. It turned into a reality show, clinging to relevance, and the people jogging it have been in too deep to prevent. Pawn Stars wasn't the best reality display caught, faking scenes, but it in reality took it to the intense. Lovers started noticing that the entirety felt scripted, the haggling, the arguments, even the wonder unearths. What changed into, as soon as a proper look at Pawn Store offers became turned into a glorified soap opera. Then came the professional scandals. One by one, the appraisers they relied on had been uncovered, fake authentications, exaggerated costs, and questionable credentials. Human beings started asking if any of the appraisals had been actual. A display that thrived on accept as true, with had misplaced every ounce of credibility. Then got here the proceedings. Indignant customers accused the store of shady dealings, deceptive appraisals, and outright fraud. One client claimed that an extraordinary coin collection, well worth $50,000, turned into melted down earlier than he ought to reclaim it. Some other accused the store of promoting stolen goods. The more humans spoke out, the greater it became clear this wasn't only a TV display long past wrong. It'd become a business that had constructed its fortune on deception. Rick had survived scandals before, lawsuits got here, and when public backlash changed into just part of the sport. However, his son's crime that changed into the final nail in the coffin there has been no jumping back from this one. It'd become brutal. It turned into irreversible. And it shattered something turned into left of Rick's already crumbling world returned. In the day this engineer, some dude who used to work on Tucker Motors, decided he desired to shake up the Motorcycle International. He constructed something wild, something nobody had ever seen, earlier than a sleek futuristic body made from fiberglass, which became almost alien. Tech on the time constructed in battery-powered lights and a shake form that looked like it belonged in space. He positioned approximately 80 of them out in shops all over the country, hoping that they had catch on like wildfire, but of direction huge. Brands like Schwinn were not having it too. Bizarre, too. In advance of its time, Maximona them were given scrapped, dumped in basements, or just vanished off the face of the earth. That is what made this bike this kind of massive deal. It turned into pristine, in no way repainted, by no means tampered with now, not a speck of rust. The type of element creditors might lose their mind over as Rick being Rick wasn't about to permit this issue pass without understanding the numbers. That is where Chumley got here. Seems he absolutely knew his stuff, for as soon as these motorcycles ought to pull, everywhere from 1, 200, 0 to 200, 0, 0 greenbacks, and this one turned into practically the pawn shop turned into already in trouble, but Chumley's reckless. Knowing what became, coming by, the point the dust settled, Chumley had burned every other $3,000 on what was essentially a glorified paperweight. Harrison made a call for himself in the pawn business, turning a dingy store right into a TV empire at the display screen. He became the smart businessman, the noons guy, who knew a good buy while he saw one. People believed in him. They believed in his handshake, his word, and that smirk he flashed when he knew he become about to make a strong income but agree with, well, that's a humorous element. 1438. It takes years to build and best seconds to shatter. And oh, did it shatter? The cracks have been continually there. However, no person wanted to look. Them the fans offered. The story a own family. Keep a father passing down wisdom, a son learning the ropes, a goofy sidekick maintaining matters light. It became the American dream wrapped in nostalgia and shining. Any rare collectibles, but behind the staged haggling and scripted real deals, the reality changed into messier. And whilst the mess ultimately hit the fan, it wasn't simply embarrassing, it turned into profession finishing. Pawn finishing pawn was the embarrassing part of the profession finishing pawn. 1513. Stars appeared real, however it became all faux. Now the fact is out, and the damage is finished. The fall of pawn superstar counterfeiters have turned out to be extraordinarily professional in forging those cash, so it's extremely essential to take your time and look carefully due to the fact the devil is inside the element. Pawn Stars wasn't only a display, it was a logo, a stamp of credibility that people depended on the store, a traveler appeal, the humans' household names, however, trust and enterprise in particular. One built on valuing and appraising goods is the whole thing. And 48, when the rumors started swirling that not all of these real items have been definitely true, that believe cracked, then it broke, however, that wasn't even the worst of it. Due to the fact while you run an enterprise primarily based on human beings believing in you and they discover they have been performed, they don't simply get mad, they need revenge. And that revenge came in lawsuits, scandals, and a wave of public disgrace that even years of clean speak could not restore. The massive turning point. The gold coin debacle, a business enterprise slapped Rick Harrison's name all over. 1620, their promotions convincing people to invest in uncommon coins that have been supposedly gold and set to skyrocket in cost. Spoiler alert, a number of the ones coins weren't even actual gold by the point human beings found out they'd been duped. The organization had disappeared into the wind, leaving at the back of numerous empty wallets or even angrier customers, and who did they blame? The face they relied on, the person on their monitors. He attempted to distance himself, said he wasn't responsible, but his face changed into. On the advertisements, his voice become on the pitch. And to the folks who got 55, swindled that changed into all that matter. The complaints poured in. Angry former fanatics changed into relentless enemies, and the deeper they dug, the more serious it were given. But none of that compared to the very last bombshell, the one that couldn't be spun, the only that wasn't approximately bad business deals or shady investments, the one that landed his son in jail, no longer for some months, no longer for multiple years, for life. This wasn't a terrible investment. This wasn't a PR nightmare that could be shrugged off with a cautiously worded statement. This turned into actual. It had become violent. It was ugly. And it became the kind of element you do not come again from. The fallout changed into, on the spot, the pawn keep, as soon as filled with vacationer hoping to trap a glimpse of Fact TV gold, commenced searching extra like a ghost, Metropolis, the show that once beloved. As soon as I read this law, I'm going, it's got to be near that now for the city, right? So I started calling the Metropolis statistician once a week. Television nostalgia. It misplaced its shine. Court cases saved, stacking up, indignant clients, betrayed fans, former personnel with dirt to spill. They all covered up, prepared to rip down what turned into left of the Harrison name. Pawn Stars were a nicely oiled gadgets spinning amusement out of easy transactions. But the show was simply that, a show. A scripted, polished, edited for TV phantasm, and illusions do not last. The fact that changed into far uglier Rick Harrison constructed an empire on Believe, after which one scandal at a time he tore it down. Perhaps he saw it coming, maybe he didn't, but while the dust settled, one element became crystal clean. The most important scam in Pawn Stars history wasn't an overpriced piece. 1840, of memorabilia had become the notion that any of it had been real. The whole extent of the disaster unraveled slowly. Each new revelation dug the hollow deeper. Insiders commenced talking personnel who had been with the shop for years, got here ahead with tales about how things have been surely run. They informed of backrow deals, manipulated sales, in level encounters designed basically for enjoyment cost in place of real business operations. The truth show had never certainly been fact in any respect. One former appraiser spilled the information about how certain objects had been pre-permitted for authenticity before they even came via the doorways. The excitement of seeing an extraordinary baseball card or an antique